Everything we know, the entire universe, might just be a simulation running inside a supercomputer. In this dream world of the imagination, anything is possible. Join us on the Simulationist podcast as we explore our culture of simulations.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Welcome back to the Simulationist podcast.
Take two.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Simulationist podcast. This is the 190th iteration of the show, recorded on the 24th of April, 2016. It's not the 190th iteration today. It's today we are recording the 190th iteration that we recorded. Yes. Other iterations on other days.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't done 190 of these in a day. Like, at the length it takes for us, there's not actually any way we could do that without some heavy, crazy remixing skills.
Or like, if we recorded in the vicinity of a black hole, or actually, if we chose a planet with a really long day, I suppose.
I still think we'd go insane and die by the time we got to 190 in a day.
Unless we had like a really long day and we recorded, then slept, then recorded, and ate and slept. It was like longer than the 3 years we've been doing this.
Oh,
3 years?
Yeah, slightly longer than I've had a daughter, so 3.5 years easy.
All right. That other voice you hear is Ryan Kirkby,
co-host extraordinaire. But here's the thing, Josh. People out there listening to us automatically assume we are human, because we are. Uh-huh. But they're only listening to us. For all they could really know, we could be Lovecraftian entities. We could open 6 mouths at once and do 6 iterations at a time.
Good point. We might be simultaneously existing in multiple dimensions. Like different of our limbs reaching over into other...
Well, if that's the case, then I demand to get paid extra for work, for being able to be at work multiple times at the same time.
I'll pay you 6 times what I already pay you.
Provided there's 6 me there to do 6 times the work, I'm okay with that.
If somebody wants to, hey, I'll do the Patreon early. If you want to support us on Patreon, find the Simulationist. Just type it in when you go to Patreon, and find the Simulationist, and you can help us out with there on Patreon. Yeah.
Now I kind of want to see a little story about like Lovecraftian entities invading our reality and taking our jobs, which is like I've got 1,000 different limbs, each one of which resembles a humanoid person that they can use to take our jobs and get paid 1,000 times, thus becoming the rich elite in a matter of a few short years. Also, they don't need to eat or require homes or anything, so it really saves on cost for them.
It's always funny how like you come up with these horror stories of like, oh, the aliens, what are they? They're evil aliens. What are they going to take from us? And you always turn to the thing that you value, like, oh, they'll take our jobs, or oh, they're after our oxygen or our hydrogen.
Well, okay, here's the thing though, like when it comes to most resources, it is incredibly stupid to try and steal them from Earth, because they're more readily available in much more vast quantities elsewhere in the cosmos. Yeah. But what does the rest of the solar system lack compared to Earth? Jobs. We are a very finite resource here, man, and we have a monopoly on it on this planet. For now, until the aliens take our jobs, and they'll outsource it to Mercury or something. Harsh, man. But it could be a real nice farcical take, and I think it'd be a beautiful little story.
But you never know. Like this podcast, in theory, it will live on wherever there's a catalog of human exploits at this point, because things get recorded and kept now on the internet.
Well, that's the thing. I won't lie. Is from what I've been told, there are conceptual plans for historians to be analyzing specific points in time. And whereas it used to be that you could be a proper historian about 100, 150 years, it's narrowing down with the amount of information we have that someone would have to slog through to call themselves an expert on. Mm-hmm. So I feel a little bad that at some point, 200 years in the future, there's somebody that has to, say, oh, the simulationist stuff, man, it's good stuff, but they've done so many iterations, man. Like, how am I going to get my PhD thesis done in time? I got to listen to 190 iterations.
Interesting. I wonder though, if they'll, because this is the way we're recording this. Podcasts are very difficult to, search and find keywords and stuff?
For now, I'm pretty certain they'll have
Yeah.
software for that'll auto watch for you.
Yeah, and I think they're coming up with it like
Well,
it's sort of.
They already have that stuff to monitor the depth of YouTube to protect against copyright. Woo! So yeah, they already have some machinery on that, but nothing available to the common peasant, let alone the poor impoverished grad student.
Here's my question: if you took a popular novel like a Stephen King, like current whatever his latest novel is,
let's go back. Let's go with something classic that more people might have seen. Let's go with It.
Okay.
Stephen King's It. Okay.
Take It, and if you read it, and record it.
If you read It,
and record it, and make your own audiobook of it.
Legally, I hope.
Yeah, I'd imagine if you upload that to YouTube, there is no automatic way for them to find it.
Probably not.
But I suppose,
apparently the video stuff is easier for them to check and verify against.
Yeah, because video is just
still images.
Yeah. Just
compare these images to those images. Do these images match? Yes. Send copyright information. Proceed to next file.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be too hard to work something similar when it comes to voice recognition software and checking.
But boy,
man, wouldn't that make professors' jobs a lot easier? To check for copyright and all that and plagiarism. All they have to do is read a paragraph of the student's paper in. It's I think it might be this. So they'll read it into the machine, and the machine goes, yeah, man, that's like a Wikipedia article. That kid is so out of here. I've automatically sent them a "you being kicked out of school" notice.
So that sounds like too much work for the professor to actually read out loud each.
Is it really that much more difficult than reading the entire thing and going online and checking against various sourced articles to determine whether or not it's plagiarism?
That's true. I guess.
I mean, besides, and that's also what undergrads are for. When they're having to do some of their TA stuff as they move on up to proper grad work. It's hey, here's 15 papers. Read a paragraph from each of them, into the machine and verify.
Yeah, you could get your grad students to do it, or your undergrad.
It depends on it depends on what program you're working with. Sometimes it has to be a grad student for a TA. Sometimes you get undergrads doing it for extra course credit stuff.
Right. And actually, now, you and I graduated a decade ago.
Yeah, we're old farts.
So I'm actually wondering if they still do, hand in physical dead tree paper to most professors. I know computer science.
I have been told
that
a lot of them still do because when you get your grade back, you cannot argue. Because when it's a physical paper sort of thing, you can't say, no, I got this right, marked it wrong. Whereas when it's, okay, here's your grades, and it's okay, I will change this to say that, and, then I'll, say, hey, look at this file here, Professor, I think one of your TAs, gave me a bad grade. They didn't really read my answers out properly. It's the same reason why most tests are done in pen, and most of them are not accepted if they're done in pencil.
Yeah, okay, I see. I know there is software that's sort of version control, but I don't think most professors and students are sophisticated enough and have the right computer to install version control on their computer.
I suppose you could make an argument about the syllabus having something in there that by partaking in this class, you forfeit any chance to argue your grades for a project after the course of say 3 weeks.
Yeah, and the other thing about arguing about grades is I don't know why. I mean, I guess it is a problem, but I really kind of think it shouldn't be, because if everybody really was on the same page, then they'd be no, you want the most honest feedback on your paper that you can get so that you can improve and I don't know that enough, so I can go back and work on that and actually become a better person.
There's a few times I've had to argue my grades, because no, this is right, because here's your source in the paper, and you shouldn't have marked me wrong.
Oh, I see. Yeah, if the professor makes a mistake. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't the professor in that case, but let's not air dirty laundry on that particular thing.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think there should be room to argue on that one, because, I mean, that's the best way of determining your knowledge. I believe in oral exams much more than the standard written ones. To recite and regurgitate onto paper is one thing. To be able to argue your point successfully, that indicates a very comprehensive knowledge. The truest form of knowledge is the ability to argue it correctly.
All right. Yeah.
That's my opinion, though. What do I know? I just graduated.
I just realized, what are we talking about? We're talking about, like, academic stuff. Oh, well. Yeah. I think we have an academic listenership, I hope. I don't know.
Well, the thing is like, with this new technology going on, and, you know, like, it is fiction now, but it might not be. And, well, I mean, as I think, if you listen to the BC News within this week, they're going to be updating their culture policies for culture preservation, because most of the policies they have in place predate the internet. When they came up with these policies, the concept of like sharing culture amongst a bunch of computers anywhere in the world was fiction. And so, as I think, policy should always be forward-thinking, but sometimes I can't help but wonder if it's best done as reactionary, because it's almost impossible to predict the future, but it's always easy to correct your course to match what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case, that it has to be. You can't really, you can't predict everything, so of course
you can, you know, like, see a trend and aim towards it, but, you know, then it's like, oh, don't worry, we backed everything up on Betamax. Mm-hmm. So, you know, yeah.
Is Betamax, like, tape, magnetic tape? I think that's, like, it's so sad that it only lasted for, like, so many years. Magnetic tape is like a cool thing. Like, can you imagine, like, recording information invisibly on basically thin film that you can't see it, but it's like magnetically on there? Yeah,
that's pretty boss. That said, I also remember a lot of static in the top and lower end of the image, and having to adjust the tracking to compensate for it. So it was never a fully perfected system.
Yeah, DVDs and digital
and MP3s eliminate that at the risk of some degradation. Whereas instead of getting like a little static up at the top or bottom, you wind up getting pixelation, big old pixel chunks.
Yeah. Now I don't know.
And ruining a piece of like an MP3 almost completely ruins the entire thing from playing properly, as opposed to just like, oh yeah, it's garbled for this one bit here, but then it comes back again.
Right. Yeah. Now, but these like artifacts from like digital encoding, aren't they usually because of basically the compression has failed somehow?
To some degree. There's also copy errors. I won't lie, I have downloaded a song or two in my day that was not paid for. And a few of them I'd be listening to it and then be like a little squeak thing in there, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And I download it again from the exact same source, and it's perfect. Oh. So even digital is not perfect for copying. It's much more reliable, especially compared to something like VHS, but it's still not 100%. Right. It might be close to 5 nines perfect, but not 100. But we do have 2 bits of news for this week. The first one is just a quick note out there. Those of you who pay attention know that I play The Secret World, and I enjoy it immensely. And so for this last week over on Steam, they've had a sale for The Secret World, 66% off. It's a third of its regular price, so it's like $11.21 Canadian, so like less than $12 Canadian. You can get a copy of The Secret World, and I'm pretty darn certain you can get at least $12 worth of entertainment out of it. Now, mind you, we're doing this on the evening of the 24th, and I hope it doesn't end until the end of the 25th. Otherwise, whoops, I give it some. Well, I've already alerted my brother on it, sort of thing. Okay. Like, say, hey, by the way, while I'm talking, pick up a copy, play with me. The other bit of news, I believe, is the roll for initiative.
Oh yeah, well yeah, this is sort of personal local news, but yes, I'm running a table at Roll for Initiative on Saturday. That's a little D&D. It's like a little convention, although we're
Mini-con?
Yeah, like a mini-con. Although that was a thing that we used to do in Prince George. Did you ever go to mini-con?
I think I went once. Otherwise, I was pretty busy doing my night stuff.
We also found out that there's a convention in Minneapolis that also likes to call themselves mini-con. So they ended up changing our Prince George convention to NPC Con, and I think it's called just Northern Con now.
Yeah,
Northern Fan Con.
Yeah. They get they get some pretty big names there apparently.
Yeah, but where was I?
Roll
for
for
Initiative. It's basically a gaming group, but it's like a bunch of people get together in Victoria, British Columbia. So if you happen to be in Victoria and you have some free time on Saturday, come on down. It happens once a month, and I will be one of the GMs this coming week.
You're the one who will be telling people to roll for initiative.
I will. I will use those exact words. Roll for initiative.
Do you get paid every time you say that in the context of an adventure?
I don't get paid.
Oh, okay. It's out of the generosity of your heart and the nerdiness of your soul.
My payment is to not have to pay. Like normally I pay for a $10. I think it's $10. Yeah, $10 ticket for attendees just because the space is rented from Lifetime Networks and dishwashing and other little various things, photocopying.
Someone's got a vacuum.
Like the place has to be cleaned at the end of the day.
And let's be honest here. If you've ever been to a convention, you know we can make a mess as nerds.
We can. I've been hanging around with most of the people who do attend, although it's open to anybody.
It's not like we're trying. It's not malicious, but it happens.
Yeah, I was going to say my experience with these people is they've been very good about cleaning up their messes. There's like I know why. There's a no nuts policy in the whole building because there's an allergy clinic downstairs.
Makes sense then, yeah.
And also it's like it's a place for people who have developmental disabilities, and sometimes those come with alternate side effects or other issues. So it's just the whole building is no peanuts.
It's also nice to be conscientious of that sort of thing. If they ask, no peanuts, no peanuts. Come on.
Yeah. But like I'm saying, all of the attendees that we've had so far have been super good, and like I've got to get to know them.
No one walking around eating like a Hershey's bar. I'll eat what I want. When are you gonna stop me?
Although it would be nice to have some new faces too. So definitely if our listeners want to come down and check it out, then by all means. Saturday. Saturday at 1 p.m.
Very nice, very nice. So I have a bit. It's not a conspiracy theory, but it is, I guess, like thinking things through theory.
Yeah.
Fred
Ryan's
Flintstone.
pondering.
Most of the thing is like Fred Flintstone.
Okay, Fred Flintstone.
Barney Rubble, all those cavemen from the Flintstones world, when they wanted to get from spot A to spot B, they would hop in their car and pedal it with their feet.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just run? Why did they have to
bring a whole car with them?
And it's not just like a whole, sort of thing. It's like these were two large cylinders of stone they had for wheels.
Solid granite.
But it didn't really matter what stone it was. It was stone, man. There's no light stone. It's all heavy.
Oh yeah. Well, volcanic. What's the pumice?
Well, I suppose it'd be pretty good on their feet then. But how well would it hold up against the road when it's porous like that? This has to be roadworthy stone, Josh.
I don't know what I was thinking.
But boy, would that create a smooth thing, if everyone had the pumice thing just out further a little while, that'd be some smooth road, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, they, it was like two big old hunks of stone, and then wood, as for the frame. And wood is significantly lighter than stone, but it's still like walking around with a small tree with you.
Yeah, and the wood they're made of is sort of like
untreated, polished wood. It's just like sticks, kind of all put together.
Like here's a branch or a big
I have a suspicion there's some horticultural work going on there, because it would have been really hard to have found that sort of exact piece that you're looking for. So I imagine there's a lot of tree growers in the Flintstones universe.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense, because that's something you can do with Stone Age technology.
Okay.
But yeah, unless, like Fred had to, carry the kids with him and Dino, or was hauling a whole bunch of, furniture or groceries or anything like that, what was the purpose of taking the car with him when he could have just run?
Well, does he do that? And I can't remember if there's an episode where Fred just takes the car out for a spin by himself.
He and Barney go to work.
Yeah,
they're
they
both
drive their
pedaling
cars
with it.
to work?
Well, they carpool. When they're working together. There's a few episodes where Barney's working in other locations before he gets a job with Fred at the quarry. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just they're both running and pedaling their feet. Why? They're splitting the weight of having to pull the car with them. It's hey, carpooling is really, really good in that case. Carpooling is good in our case, but it is amazingly incentivized in the Flintstones universe. You want to pick up as many people to help pedal with you when it comes to this big old heavy car. But why didn't the two of them just step out onto the street and then run at the same speed as traffic?
Okay.
Yeah. It just occurs to me though, it's a horrible, horrible extra waste of energy, but amazing cardio. Because one thing, to run as fast as they were going at I won't say they were going 50 kilometers an hour or anything like that, because I'm not certain how to track how fast they were going when they're going. But they do manage to hit some pretty darn good speeds when they get their momentum built. Mm-hmm. So that's really good cardio work going on there. That's weight resistance and a lot of running. And yet Fred was still a huge dude. And not there was muscle there. He could lift fairly well.
Yeah,
not as well as he could think, but he was doing pretty good. But there was a lot more than muscle on that body frame. How fatty was the food he had to be given to have that much lard after so much cardio? Because that's got to be at least a 6,000 calorie day for him hauling that thing there to and from work. And he was still putting on them pounds. There was episodes where he'd have to try and lose some weight. He was all that cardio, all that running, and the hijinks they wind up getting into every week, and he was still putting on weight. And apparently no one else has ever bothered to question this until I look at it and see it's
well, was he putting on weight, or did?
Well, there were episodes where he was gaining weight.
Okay, there was an episode. Are you thinking of an episode in particular?
I do recall one episode where it's they're making jokes about, oh, you're gaining weight there, Fred. And it's okay when his wife does it because he loves his wife, and let's face it, he's not going to do any better in life. But when Barney makes a joke like that, oh, he's had enough, and that's when the shenanigans start up.
Yeah, and he goes on a diet or something.
He tries to. To various effects. And that's when all of a sudden everyone's providing, oh, look at all, try this free food. Here, Fred, try the giant mammoth burger. Yeah. It's just about the same size as your car. Now that's something I wouldn't mind hauling around and doing the extra cardio work for. But yeah, have you ever watched a cartoon show and suddenly realized just how bad things had to be for him? How quickly would he have had a heart attack if his car had to go into the shop for a week? Would he have survived that?
And so you're saying he would still be eating the same amount?
He never seemed to want to change what he was eating. He was never happy when he had to go on the diet and try the lettuce leaf instead of the Brontosaurus burger that was big enough to at the end of every episode when they go to the drive-in, Fred gets ribs that are so big they literally tip over his car. His car that is, on the basis is 2 large cylinders of stone.
Here's the thing, Ryan.
Yes.
Okay, about the Flintstones, and I think this might be what you're not getting, is that the entire show is a joke.
Some parts of it better than others, I won't lie.
Maybe it's not the best executed, joke, and there are jokes within the show. But the idea of transporting our sort of 1950s family values and lifestyle back into the Stone Age to see the incongruities of it, that's the idea. That's what makes the Flintstones the Flintstones. So if you're asking these questions about, like, how can you, transplant this value into the... You can't, and that's what you're supposed to be laughing at.
How about the other views? Like, there were some things you couldn't get away with on 1950s sort of television, 50s, 60s, and all that sort of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Such as, being, like, there's a proper word to use for this. I'll say non-Christian. It was a very Christian-dominated, world then.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, Fred and Wilma don't ever go to church.
How could they go to church? Christ had not been born yet.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, they may even be heretical from the perspective of the 1950s stuff, because with cavemen and dinosaurs, you would have had to have some sort of state of evolution occurring, or at the very least be contradictory to the teachings of the Bible. So could you say that, for all their joking, they were actually incredibly subversive about the religion of the day?
Maybe, but Now, I wasn't the biggest Flintstones watchers, but I seem to, like, somewhere in the back of my mind, remember seeing some references to this fact that, like, oh, there's angels and stuff, and, like, yeah, Jesus is going to be born. So I think they live in a sort of, in a Christian mythos, or, Christian cosmology, like, before Christ is born. And I think they see angels and stuff.
I do know they see an alien from outer space.
Yeah, at some point they may have even encountered, like, some biblical figures. I'm not sure, though. But that is interesting, because, some Christian beliefs, ideologies will, like, sort of deny that dinosaurs even existed.
Yeah.
And some will say... There are some versions who say, oh, well, dinosaurs lived in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve, so then that would be... Because the Flintstones is closest to that.
Is there any, like, Jack Cheek tracks, or where they've actually showing, like, Adam and Eve in the Bible fighting dinosaurs?
I'd be curious to... I don't know if Jack Chick ever tackled the problem of dinosaurs.
Because, I kind of want to see Adam and Eve, like, fighting a T-Rex now.
Well, if you look up the Creation Museum in Kentucky, USA, they have like life-size dioramas, like statues and stuff, of like Adam and Eve with dinosaurs in the garden. So that's a real thing.
Would they even need to fight the T-Rex? Because it's the Garden of Eden. There's like no one needed to fight anything there, really.
Well, is that before the fall, before they got kicked out of the garden? According to some versions of the mythology, there are different versions, but some versions, yes, all the dinosaurs were vegetarians and were, like, friendly because everything was perfect, and, like, that's how God made it. Yeah.
So then, if there were dinosaurs in the Garden of Eden, Eve and Adam eat the apple of knowledge, and they suddenly realize, like, we're going to get booted out, and oh my God, the T-Rex is going to want meat. So they just beg God at last minute, could you please kill off the horrible dinosaurs, before you bust the garden loose, because we ain't surviving that. And God in his infinite mercy just says, okay, fair game.
Well, once again, depending on, like, which version of Christianity you believe in, there are some Christians who believe that the dinosaurs would have been wiped out in the flood of Noah's time because they didn't get on the ark. Actually, isn't there a Far Side cartoon, basically? No, that's the unicorns.
No, the unicorns get eaten by the dinosaurs as they're all watching the ark floating off.
Yeah.
So wait. You're saying if I actually read the Old Testament stuff before the flood, there should be mentions of dinosaurs occurring?
Well, you won't find any in most of the Bible. However, once again, some Christians do believe that there are a couple of monsters mentioned in the book of Job which sort of fit the description of dinosaurs. They are the Leviathan, which is a sea monster of some kind, possibly
is that with the behemoth and that Zix thing?
And the behemoth is the other one. Yeah.
There should be a bird too, there isn't there?
Oh, there might be, actually. I don't know.
I think there's one for that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, yeah.
Because I do remember seeing a bit where at the end of it, like at the end of everything, like go to the other end of time, we get to eat them. Yeah, like like I thought Fred's ribs were big that he was getting. Like they're nothing compared to the behemoth. And we got a big old fish dish with Leviathan, and we got the biggest roast bird ever with that, whatever its name was. I think it's Zix.
Zix?
Something like that.
Yeah, I'm not familiar, but I wouldn't be surprised. Also, there's the Apocrypha has dragons in it.
Ooh.
Book of Revelation obviously has dragons, but I mean that's later.
That's like a 7-headed, really nasty thing.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's nasty.
And there's some weird creatures in like Isaiah where he has like weird visions. He's like seeing like wheel-shaped angels.
Oh yeah,
eyes all around them.
Those ones are pretty boss though, man. It's like, wow, man, like this angel does not give any damns at all. Like he is not even bothering to try and appear human. He goes for a wheel.
Although, like, if you think about it, like take a wheel, turn it kind of on its side, have it glow a little bit, maybe with like a ring of lights that look kind of like eyes all around the edge of it, and maybe have it float around and fly around a little bit. I think maybe it might be a UFO. UFOs in the Bible.
So then you're saying that the dinosaurs might not be dead. The aliens took them.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, if there's aliens...
Oh, now there's a movie I wouldn't mind seeing. It's like the aliens have come back. They're going to wipe us out. How? Cloning dinosaurs. Beware of the infinite T-Rex ways.
Aliens and dinosaurs versus humans. I like it.
Yeah, man.
If I was an alien, like, you know...
That's a sci-fi movie right there, man. That's like, oh, yeah.
65 million years ago or whatever, and I visited Earth, and I was like, oh, this is a great place. I would take DNA samples, probably. I wouldn't, like...
Why would you not try and take some sort of, you know, like genetic information samples on any planet you go to?
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Like, come on, man. Like what are you're going to go all the way there and you're to another planet and you're not going to be taking samples of how life blooms in its infinite complexity?
Mm-hmm.
Like... You are a horrible tourist, man. I
wouldn't take, like, dinosaurs, like the whole dinosaur, like, onto my spaceship, because that's asking for trouble, I feel like.
Oh, what could possibly go wrong?
What could go wrong with the T-Rex on a spaceship?
Yeah, it'd be like one of the big old colony sort of ships, and then, like, over the course of generations, they learned how to use it after eating the original aliens.
Nice.
And that's where we get reptilians from.
Alright.
Boom. Oh, yeah. This is our best iteration ever. I'm loving this.
How did we... Oh, the Flintstones.
Yeah. Flintstones will take you everywhere, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but
I guess
let's just call that the end of that tangent. We know where the reptilians come from now, and I think that's the best theory I've ever heard for reptilians. I'm okay with them now ruling the world behind their secret human visages. I'm okay with that now.
All right, cool.
Knowing that's a descendant of a T-Rex that ate a bunch of aliens that tried to abduct it.
Yeah. Or you could think of, like, just, birds being the descendants of dinosaurs and dinosaurs flying among us. Dinosaurs, they fly among us.
Yeah, but the scariest thing I have to worry about is them pooping on my car. That's not how I want to remember the dinosaurs.
Or getting, like, salmonella from eating one or something.
I cook my dinosaur thoroughly, thank you. I wonder how old salmonella is. I wonder if you'd actually be able to get salmonella from eating dinosaur. Improperly cooked.
If you went back in time?
Yeah. You go back in time, you gotta try and kill and eat the dinosaurs. Unfortunately, you bring the salmonella with you because you had some bad chicken earlier that week. You gotta go squat in the bushes. Bam. Salmonella is infinitely old. Ooh.
Yeah.
It's a scary thought, man. And it was all because of you, your damn love for chicken salad. Alright, yes. In more personal news, what you been doing this week, Josh?
This week, I basically played Minecraft. I think is the only major, game-related thing. In Minecraft, though, let me tell you what I did.
Oh my, what'd you do?
Does
it involve dinosaurs? Can we keep this theme going?
Well, only if you count chickens as dinosaurs.
Partial credit.
I decided to finally overhaul my the center, spawn. You spawn
Spawn point prime.
Spawn point. So I decided to overhaul it, And I heard that you can do like animal farms elsewhere in your world, but you have to get rid of all the grass at spawn because in your spawn chunks are always loaded.
Oh, really?
As for certain purposes, including for spawning animals.
Oh.
So if you have grass at spawn and you leave and you go to a nice, because in theory the game code is supposed to be able to spawn animals if you just have nothing but grass. It just poof, just animals will show up.
Oh.
But it doesn't exactly work because there's always grass loaded in spawn, in your spawn chunks. At least this is what I understand. I haven't got to the point yet where I've tested it, but I did get rid of all the grass. I used some TNT.
Oh,
so
fun.
I blew up a huge area, blew up all the dirt and basically the top layer of the whole area. 16 by 16 chunks, so a nice big. Yeah, that was a big job.
That was
and
a
then
fun
sort
job.
of cleaning up afterwards, and yeah.
Excellent.
But I had to dismantle a few of my old builds too that were at spawn because some of them had grass in them. But
I'm gonna have to read up on that, man. This is just weird, wild stuff.
Yep, yeah. And then
thank goodness I always have hospitable biomes as my default area. I don't like spawning in. Oh boy, this place looks nice and peaceful. It's like, this is horrible. I'll get to work, survive.
Yeah. So then after I got rid of all the grass, I was like, it looks really desolate. It looks, it's sort of blown up stone and bare stone and stuff. So I got some green stained clay, and I started like paving over it, with green. So instead of grass, it's green stained clay. So it's this sort of artificial, weird,
Could you put some white stained clay in a certain pattern and make yourself a football field?
Well, I could. Yeah.
Do you take requests?
I don't know if I have an area big enough in my spawn. I have to get rid of some more buildings though, so maybe I could.
Maybe just a really large tennis court?
Yeah, I could do that.
Nice you'd have to use metal bars instead of anything else because there's not really anything else you could use for the
mesh fence, whatever.
Yeah.
Is it just called a fence in the middle of a tennis court?
The net, I believe is what it's called. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the net.
It's the one sport where you want to avoid the phrase "nothing but net." It's the anti-basketball that way.
Yeah. So and I also, for a long time, I kind of ignored my spawn area because I only went there, when I died and forgot to I broke my bed and forgot to put it back, whatever. And so every time I go back there, it's always a real pain to walk from there
to somewhere
where I have gear and stuff, so I can gear up. So I decided to, put some nice stockpiles. So I have enough of everything that I need to basically start adventuring again immediately.
Oh, very nice.
From spawn, 6 times. So like six stacks of cobblestone.
I'm picturing a little tiny Josh with the X6 there. 6 lives.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I've given myself 6 really decent good lives. Yeah, so I can. Yeah.
After that, you're scumming it for lives.
Yeah.
You have to hit your continue there. Start from scratch again.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing I've been doing is lighting up all the caves at spawn too. So underneath basically it's a square, and underneath it I've been lighting up everything, so that I can, if I want to, I can build like a nice monster. What do you call
Monster
it?
Spawner.
Monster spawner or
mob grinder.
Mob grinder. That's what we call it. Yeah. And that it'll be really efficient. Also.
You could also do something similar by building high enough up in the air.
Yep. Yeah. That works. Yeah.
Yeah. My greatest disappointment for my current map is that I decided to build on the ground.
Oh yeah.
As opposed to creating myself a flying citadel.
Yeah.
Alas, I had no vision.
One thing I want to get to eventually it's all in the same world. Like it's a really big world, and I've been all to the different ends of it. But one of the things I want to do is I have already built, Skyblock.
Oh, yes.
Like I built a little replica of that with the same items that you're given. And then I have a nether portal like up in the air, like right next to it.
Uh-huh.
And I built it over the ocean, basically, like a very far away from any land. So it's basically Skyblock over the ocean. And then with a portal. So what I want to do eventually is like get up there and like throw away all my items or everything I have already.
Leave it behind.
Put it out there and just play, and then destroy the portal behind me, and then throw away the diamond pick, and then just play Skyblock like in my main world.
That's not bad.
See how.
Well, couldn't you just keep the portal and just not utilize it?
I
say it's there. It's just like a impositional block.
I guess so. Yeah. I don't know.
That way, if you ever need to go back and do something else, like, oh, dude, I really gotta get this idea, or I should really check this out, you can do that. Or if you fall, you can get back.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, like if I'm like, if I've had enough of Skyblock and like after I've destroyed the portal, I can destroy my bed and then just drown, like jump off and drown or something.
Morbid guy.
Or burn myself in lava, and then I'll spawn at my beautiful, fancy new spawn that's all, got all my items for me.
Yeah, but only 6 more times to keep doing that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that's my weekly adventures in Minecraft.
Oh, that's not bad. Because I got back into Minecraft this week.
Oh yeah, cool.
Created the new land for start the haven in there, and I finally broke the problem of how to make my portal room. So I had a notion, it's like where the area where I pop in on, I've already got that plan. It's a large like throne of the gods sort of style. It's
cool.
Pretty massive. The back is 7 squares high. The seat's a 2x3 area. Mm-hmm. It's got some nether block. I got the chisel, so it's like really boss nether block with like blue veins going on in there. And it's got fire on the top, so it's like, yeah, man. But it's like, what do I put around that? I want my portals through Mistcraft to other worlds. And I couldn't. I was like humming and hawing for the longest time. Like, how do I decide to do this? And it's just like weird, crazy little doors standing around. What's going on? And then I remembered, dude, I can make it the portal be horizontal, not just vertical. So it's like, what if I make them like pools? So I could you just like have up there and dive into when you need to.
Yeah.
And that's the way I think I'm going to be going with it. 4 main ones, and maybe put in some areas around that just to put up the books on the book stands. And from that one, just build out and about and have my fun and get everything built. There's a lot I need to do there.
Right.
Oh my God, there is so much, and it has to start with resource generation and tree farms and all that fun stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But I finally got it. I've got it made, and I'm working up there, and woo. Of course, mind you, I still need to do some adventuring out and about to new territories in the main world, so I can find some of those floating islands that can get me the wither skeletons that I can use to get myself some withers to get the nether star.
Oh, yeah.
Because my game is a little broken and monsters won't spawn.
Right.
Well, not naturally. But so yeah, I finally made that first step. Like right now, though, it's just like that large like throne of the gods sitting in a void of space. And I'm gonna want to take a photo, like a screenshot of that one. But I look at it and I'm thinking, it's like that is like the first third of a metal album. It's like now I need to get 4 people that look suspiciously like Man-O-War to be playing musical instruments on there. It's like, yeah, that's what I need. Like, I'm done with that world. I'm there. Forget my big plans. That was it. That's the best I'll ever do. I'm done.
Yeah. Do you ever post screenshots on like Reddit or anything?
No, because I don't believe I've ever made anything large enough and big enough and intricate and wonderful enough to be worthy of it.
Okay.
I, for some reason, hold fairly decently high regards on that sort of thing. I suppose the city I've got going now could verify, as good enough. But I'm going to wait until I get this masterpiece done. My raison d'etre of Minecraft. But that's like going to take a while, so I might have to do like in progress screenshots.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay, because now that I'm doing it, I can start getting back to listening to the stuff I have in the background. I can't listen to most sorts of podcasts or old radio programs while I'm playing The Secret World. Right. It involves too much time, and they have their own people talking and all that stuff. I don't want to miss it.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, like this way I can now, so I can get back into the relaxation of it. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, I do get relaxed properly from it.
Okay.
Sometimes, like you go back to it's like, why was I even relaxed the first time? It's just making me pissed off. Nothing's working right, and I've fallen to my death 3 times. It happens. That's it. When it comes to what I have to do, the first thing is I'm going to have to do some testing with my pool portal style. Because if I can put blocks of another material inside of that, then I can make it look like those portals you have in the end once you defeat the end dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I won't lie, the concept of recreating that in my own style seems pretty boss.
Mm-hmm.
Might want to go with that. Otherwise, I could have some interesting fun with water and maybe water slides in there. I don't want to have the actual portal area on the same level as water. Because, first of all, I'm not certain. I know if you push a creature through, it'll pop through the portal. And I'm not certain if it works the same way with water and other liquids. So I don't want to be flooding another world constantly.
Yeah.
Nice way to prevent other creatures from trying to come back through, but it's actually a one-directional portal, so it doesn't help at all in that regard. Yeah. But each portal has a different color associated with it, and I appreciate the color. Different pools of different colors without having to work with weird, crazy chemicals and third-party mods to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do think I have enough mods with enough various non-water or lava-based liquids to make things go. And I should probably check to see if I can make a portal to the end in a third, a mist world. I think I can, but I'd like to double check.
Okay.
And if I can do that, then there's some other options about design style I can put in for the area. But, it's going to take a little bit of time. And I'm doing a podcast right now, so I can't do it. I have to wait. Other than that, I think I'm getting better at PvP in the Secret World as I try more. I'm dying not quite as quickly in the Shambhala events. I half the time lasting towards the end. Although I don't know if that's just random, static noise in my tests. Might be, might not be. Only time will tell.
Right.
I have found some nice stuff over in the Fusang. The Fusang projects is a permanent thing. Most of the other PvP styles are set matches. You got to maintain this area for dominance until such time, or you got to kill all the other side opponents, or yada yada yada. This one is constantly ongoing. Always available to go in there as long as there's people in there, and the way it's going whenever I'm in there, it's I'm the only one there right now. Shambhala gives nice quick rewards if you can get in the cycle of doing Shambhala match one after another. But I find if I can get myself a simple little side mission in Fusang, it's oh hey, capture 2 anima wells, and there's a dozen of them in there, and if most of them are against me, well, I can do that quest 6 times over, and each one gets me 15, of the highly coveted black bullion I need. I can get myself a lot of decent, credit pretty darn quickly there. Of course, mind you, there's so much to be done now that I've hit towards the end game content. It's I need more AP, I need more CP, I need more of these black bullion, I need more of that, I need more money altogether. So it's no matter what I do, it's not going to get me everything I want. So, biddy-ba. But that's okay, because I'm enjoying the time I'm spending there.
Good. Yay. And that game is on sale right now. So. Yeah, for less than $12, man. Yeah. Well, Canadian. I know we have global people, all around listening to us. We do.
And I don't know what the conversion rate is all over the world. I do know it's a 35-to-1 conversion over to the Philippine peso. So it's not 12 peso.
So for all of our listeners in the Philippines.
Or if they know that their currency is comparable to the Philippine peso.
Right.
So yeah.
Or they might know what the Canadian dollar exchange rate is. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, is like we haven't been doing too good compared to the American one, so it's not as easy to say, well, it's about the same as America anymore. So like, consult your local Steam provider and double check to see what the price is for you. Hooray! Other than that, just playing the games, having the fun, and enjoying it. There's one quest I can repeat every 3 days. I go on the back of a train and I stop terrorists from blowing up. As it turns out, it would have been London. So as a member of the Illuminati, I probably should have let them do it, because that's where one of the competitive secret headquarters is.
Okay.
But I'm saving the day, I'm saving the world, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I went through, I was not well geared for it. It took me forever. And now when I go through it, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm just jumping around, having fun. I'm finding a different costume every time I go.
Oh.
I went through last night. I was wearing a glowing pumpkin head and a blood-stained sweater. And I was wielding a chainsaw. And it's just like, yeah, man, yeah, I'm blasted. It's like... and they do a lot of cutscenes in there, and you're always dressed as you are, in those cutscenes. And so there have been times when I'm doing it in one outfit, and it's like, oh boy, now it's like, hey, I'm in the desert. Let's put myself in a parka. It's like like any other person would be sweating buckets there, but no, look at me, I'm all like Joe Cool here. I think next time I'm going to get the Atonist garb, which is like a cultist outfit. And it's the same sort of cultist I'm trying to stop. So I'll be wearing like the outfit that, like they're trying to stop me with. So it'll be like insurrection. So yeah, I'm just having a lot of fun playing around with it now. That it's no longer, how can I possibly survive this? It gets me some decent, rewards. But it's, it's just like, I'm playing it for the fun because like I get to see myself in the cutscenes. Woo! What's the most ridiculous outfit I can wear? And unfortunately, I'm not going to spend the extra money, actual real-world money, and buy the fake horse head. Like, the horse head mask you see people in online, right? Where yeah, they have that in the game. If you're going to spend real-world money, you can buy it and run around with your horse head.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not doing that yet, but I'm having a lot of fun doing different outfits and saving the day in a different style. Every time. So, yay. Final bit, and this will seg into our topic for this week. I saw a very interesting movie.
Okay.
It was called Murders at the Zoo. And it's about a horror...
it already.
Well, that's the thing, though. Within the first 5 minutes, like the first scene is just itself got just an absolutely like horrible sort of thing. It's a guy is... he's in the jungle. And the show is Indochina, which, for those who don't know, because Indochina isn't really a thing anymore.
Isn't that Vietnam?
Yes, it's Vietnam in the area. It's south of China and east of India.
Yeah.
So, you're Laos and all the mainland sort of areas there. Don't think it includes Nepal or anything like that, or Tibet, technically.
Okay.
I think it is more towards, they're considered to be the tropical areas there.
All right.
But yes, it takes place there. And it's a guy, technically 3 people holding down a person as they're doing some sort of operation. You see, like, he's stitching. He says, don't worry, I learned this from a Mongolian prince. So, teach you from ever, trying to kiss another man's wife. And then they leave him, like, bound and gagged. And they just, like, get on the howdah on an elephant, and off they go, leaving the guy, with, his hands tied up behind his back. And then he runs up towards the camera to show what they did. They sewed his mouth shut. And it's not just the little stitches, ooh, these are really good, like surgeons. This is, like, really big needle with a really coarse thread sort of thing tied up on there.
Yeah.
And so the story is about, like, a horrible monster of a man, jealous, of the infidelity potentials of his wife. Like, the wife didn't kiss this guy. He tried to kiss the wife, and the guy takes him out on safari and sews his mouth up and leaves him to die.
Mm-hmm.
And so it says something about his mental state. Played by the famous Lionel Atwill, the famed actor. So, good quality, crazy, evil person. He played a number of bad guys throughout the years. So this is a grade evil guy going on.
Yeah.
Fast forward the story and all that. He's got a big old, and in this case, legitimate fear that his wife is going to leave him for another man. A person who actually, in this case, has her best interests at heart. Because, she's absolutely afraid of her husband and the fact that he's killing people to keep them away from her.
Okay.
So, reasonably, good, excuse to be afraid, right?
Yeah.
The zoo, they were down, why were they in Indochina? They're collecting animals for the zoo. And they go about a big old, long thing, and they come back with all sorts of amazing animals, like elephants and lions, and they got cougars. I remember seeing they got different kinds of snakes. They got leopards, and oh my goodness, rhinos.
Take them back in a boat?
Yeah, in tiny little cages.
To England?
No,
United States?
The U.S. And so, they've got, like a zoo there, but the zoo, since the guy's been gone, they've cut the municipal zoo's got the budget cut 4 times. And so they got to get some word out, people got to be there. And they figure out, I got a great idea. Because they hired a new guy for publicity. His new idea was, there's a nice area, big long area where you got lions on one side, cougars on the other, leopards and all that. The dangerous cats sort of area. But there's enough room in the center, you could have a banquet going on, dining amongst these amazingly fierce creatures.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah, I won't lie. That's dang, man, I wouldn't mind being a part of that. The cages aren't as big as I'd prefer for those animals.
Oh, yeah.
But, provided they were only in there for the short amount of time, just, it's like an atmosphere thing. Afterwards, they go back to a proper, abode. I'd be happy.
When is this movie
This movie was
made
like a 1932 movie. This would be made around the same time as Dracula was made, give or take a few years. And we'll actually wind up leading into the big point for our topic this week. It was heavily, because I watched this on Svengoolie, Super Sci-Fi Saturday nights on your local Me TV network. It was filmed before the standards and practices that we and the animals currently enjoy for Hollywood programs. And so when the animals are fighting each other, it is literally animals fighting each other. Wow. There are bits where there's like a cougar and a lion fighting each other, and they're biting into each other. I'm pretty certain that's not play fighting. It might be, but it probably isn't. And so there is some abuse of mishandling of animals is what I would classify under our current standards. Mm-hmm. At the time, they thought nothing of it. So, difference in styles, right? I mean, heck, earlier this week, I read my daughter, the Dr. Seuss book, If I Ran the Zoo. The new Zoo McGrew Zoo. That's the thing we're going to do. And it's about going out and capturing all sorts of crazy animals and bringing them back to the zoo. And, the cages aren't very big, even in Dr. Seuss's book.
Right.
That's just how it was back then. Like a large cage for an animal, but where are we going to get that much room? It's like, well, you need that much room or you're going to be killing your animal slowly. Mm-hmm. But yes, I'll fast forward the plot of the movie for that. The man who was going to steal the guy's wife away dies from a snake bite from the dreaded mamba of India. One of the most virulent, venoms in all the world. There's never been an anti-venom created for it. Mm-hmm. It was a trick. It was the guy. He did that. He killed the other guy. It was he had like a fake snake head sort of thing. They used to get him in the leg when no one else is paying attention. Yeah. And it's like, the venom kills him and all that. I won't say exactly what happens to all the characters, but let me just say, most of the main characters, if not outright killed, do get to the point of death, and the crocodiles are fed very well in this movie. By the way, the crocodile pit is just like, there's an area for crocodiles, a very densely packed crocodiles and all that sort of thing. But crocodile sort of pit, and then like a bridge leading over it. The bridge is not even like 3 feet off the top of the water. Like an industrious crocodile could just grab someone up by the ankle and pull them on down if they so wanted. And that was considered perfectly fine back then. What could possibly go wrong with this pit full of crocodiles over top a bridge?
Don't walk too close to the edge of the bridge.
It wasn't a very big bridge. It was like a one-person wide bridge.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, it's just like, long story short, someone gets dumped over the side. I won't spoil it. It's a good enough movie, I'm not going to spoil it.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, the animals are in small-sized cages. The snakes get very well handled throughout the course of the film. In order to disguise what happened with the poisoning of the guy, the main villain guy, he has to let loose the mamba, and what he does is basically opens it up and just kind of throws it on the floor, sort of thing, and then books it before the snake can bite him. And and it's not like they actually had a prop snake to put down there. It's just like, okay, now throw the snake on the floor and get out of there. It's like no, that's not what you do at all. Because one, now you've got an angry snake you got to wrangle, and two, you could hurt your snake. And this is
poor snake.
Well, that's the thing. It's like the snake was needed in many scenes. It's just not like the snake comes back later and like you're using it in other stuff.
Well, I mean, if you're Hollywood, you can probably afford more than one snake.
You might be able to, but wouldn't it be cheaper just to have one snake and not injure it throughout the course? You could afford 5 or 6, leading men here, because this is a pretty big Hollywood production. Mm-hmm. But wouldn't it be better just to have one and not injure them, so we have to have them replaced?
All right.
Yeah. So my point leading in for our main topic is I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the movie because it was a very well-written movie, sort of thing like, ooh, who's going to die, who's going to live, what's going to happen, and all that. But I won't lie, I really like seeing the scenes where the lion and the cougar fight and all that. It's like, oh my god, that's real, man. It's like documentary level real. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't the same as watching a documentary. Because if I was to watch a documentary where lions, fight another creature, they take down a gazelle, I don't feel bad about that because that's just nature being nature. But in this case, people, had to entice them to at least pretend to fight, and I'm pretty certain it wasn't a pretend.
Yeah.
But it was a very well done scene. They managed to make the most out of every camera angle they had taping that one.
All right.
Because, it's Hollywood. You could, get a lot more lions, but, even lions are in scarce supply there, so don't hurt all your lions. Just get a lot of filming done, right? Mm-hmm. And, am I bad for enjoying that? As a biologist, I found it fascinating to watch their fighting styles and trying to analyze, was this a play fighting or is this real? Because when you see stuff like dogs fighting in shows, what they typically do is slow things down to air quote heighten the suspense and the drama of the scene of a dog attacking. If you speed it up to regular speed, it's just a person playing with the dog. It's like, oh, who's got the dog? Ah, yeah, you grab on and the dog it bites onto your padded arm and oh, who's a good dog? Oh yeah, and you're playing around with them, right? Okay. As people are wont to do with their dogs, because dogs play with their mouths. But if you slow things down and you cut the scene right and you put a nice score in the background there, it becomes a really scary scene for dogs fighting. Not the case, particularly with the stuff I was watching. This was real. This was actually legit potential fighting from everything I've seen and all that I know as a biologist. Mm-hmm. So it's I was able to see it and it's like, wow, I think they really are hurting each other on that sort of thing. Oh, I can't believe that. Is it okay for me to have enjoyed that?
Are you asking me?
I will ask you first, yes. Was it okay to have enjoyed watching those scenes? Well, I enjoyed all the movie, but I also enjoyed those scenes.
I don't think you can help what you enjoy. If you get joy out of a thing watching, it's too late to feel guilty now.
Don't get me wrong, I wasn't like, oh yeah, I want to see them all bleeding on each other. Yeah, man, kill it, break his throat. Right. No, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I personally found their actions, just fascinating to watch, and that's why I like watching nature documentaries. I like seeing what animals do.
Yeah, but like, I mean, the question is like, would you sanction it if you could? I don't know. I don't want to say go back in time because we do a lot of time travel stuff. But if you had a chance,
if I was to remake this movie,
if somebody was making this movie and they came to you and they said, oh, "Okay, you're a bioethicist. Can we do this?" Would you say go ahead?
I would say no.
You would say no. That is, we don't do that.
The closest I would get them maybe even that I couldn't do. Saying like, well, what if you got? I was thinking in my head quickly. What if you had the lion attack like a domestic, like a pig sort of thing, something it would normally consider lower on the food chain, and and then just CGI it to make it look like a cougar. And it's like, no, that's still hurting an animal, even if it's an animal that's intended for getting eaten. It still doesn't deserve to get mauled on that one, because that's what you get when you're like a domestic creature that is used for humanity to eat. You at least get a swift and painless death. That's what we should get out of them. That's what we should give back to them, at least.
Right.
They do not have to suffer the painful death of nature.
Yeah, because, I mean, nature is
not big on painless deaths.
Animals suffer worse in nature than they do in your movie that you watched. Even though it wouldn't necessarily be a lion versus a cougar, but whatever matchup nature did come up with, it would not be more pleasant necessarily.
It would likely be much more vicious, because I mean, I'm pretty certain they goaded the animals into like fighting each other. But in nature, they would have done it because it's survival, or one of them's hungry enough to actually eat the other.
Yeah, I would imagine in nature, probably, lions and cougars would probably, if they somehow accidentally ended up together, they would avoid each other. It's not too far
off. I mean, lions did roam as far north as the southern half of Europe. Before humanity decided, no, this is our land.
Lions and leopards coexist, and they generally don't fight each other. They just sort of avoid each other, I think, most of the time.
It's not really worth it. They're too dangerous to each other.
Yeah.
There's like cougars here in North America. They really don't see us as being really okay to eat unless they're starving. It's like, dude, I got to get anything in my system.
Yeah.
And that's when you hear about, like, a cougar had to be put down. That cougar was not doing well to begin with. If a cougar wants to consider, like, going into human lands and trying to find something to eat, it is not doing well. It is not getting enough food.
Yeah. And I think also lions are bigger than leopards or cougars. So if a cougar had a kill and a lion comes by, like that's the whole trope is, oh, that's his now. Like, I gotta go. Like,
it's not always that clean cut. And keep in mind, lions aren't as big as Hollywood would have you believe.
Okay.
You've seen Jumanji, right?
Years ago, yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty big lion. The one sitting on the bed and all that. That's like twice the size of a lion. So it's like 8. That's like the body mass of like 8 regular lions, man.
Okay.
They are not that big. They're not big enough to take up an entire like queen-sized bed. But Hollywood would have you believe that, because man, those lions are scary, right? Ooh.
Yeah.
And if we're paying for CGI, we're going to pay for the biggest lion CGI.
I mean, on YouTube, I've watched, there's clips of a guy who is like best friends of a lion, like, and he hugs and cuddles with his lion.
They're still pretty darn big, but they're not as big as like Fear and pictures, and CGI and Hollywood would want you to believe.
Yeah. I don't know if that guy is still alive. I wonder. But
do a coin flip on that one. They're not nowhere near as big as grizzlies, but boy, how do you watch a movie and most movies these days will try and have you believe that a lion's the size of a grizzly bear. It's scarier that way. It's more dramatic, right?
Yeah.
How could anything so dangerous possibly exist in this size, just as nature intended?
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay for me to have enjoyed that, just so long as it doesn't happen again. I can.
Yeah. Oh. That's basically my criteria.
Because not enjoying it would not have unmade this movie.
I think that's true. I suppose like there might be if you take your enjoyment to like a very extreme and like, I mean, enjoying anything to that level, like where you're like amped up and you're like, yeah, go, get him, yeah, and, like, you get really, like, I don't know, worked up about it. I don't think that might be a problem.
I don't think hunters get that worked up for hunting almost anything. I mean, they'll be like, oh my god, that's like a 7-pointer, man. That's an amazing, majestic animal. Kapow. So I don't think they're all like, yeah, man, yeah, shoot, yeah, man, you shot it so good.
I think that's true for the most. Yeah. I mean, most hunters
they
are
actually
not
have
mentally
respect,
mentally unstable. So I think that's true. Yeah, I think and like the moral argument is almost has less to do with the animals than just your own personality and how you're likely to interact with other humans.
Yeah.
I feel.
Good. Well, it got me thinking the entire thing because, like, I was saddened to hear when Svengoolie, say, hey, there's a trigger warning. There's some scenes here of like animals hurting animals, and it's like, oh, okay, like, don't worry. I'm a biologist. I've seen some pretty nasty things in my day. So I had the mental fortitude to be okay with that sort of thing. Although it did sadden me to hear that people forced animals to fight each other for the sake of the movie sort of thing. You could have probably put a bunch of take a bunch of ham juice, and just put that on top of something that looks like a cougar, and then just shot it with a camera angle of a lion attacking it to really make it look vicious, man, without actually hurting another animal. And so it was just like, on one hand, I was like really disappointed because like, how could you not have had laws like that in place, making sure that animals weren't hurting each other for the benefit of the human thing? That's kind of like old school Roman, like trying to get the animals to fight each other for mere entertainment.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, it also smacked of lazy filmography. Like, you could have made the cuts and the scenes done better without hurting the animals, and still made it look really, really, brutal and really dangerous for any human being in that particular part in the scene.
Yeah, I don't know what the skill level is in the 1930s. I mean, I guess some people had been making films for a few decades by then, but I don't know what the sort of level of technology and if they actually had the expertise to be able to make it.
Well, see, that's the thing. At the very end of the movie, there's a scene where there's a guy. He's drunk. Like he the entire movie, he had people making sure. Oh yeah, he hits the ball perfect. No, this guy was staying sober. He wanted to stay, fly right, man. He was off the bottle. And then everything went to pot. Animals get released. People are dying. They got to close the zoo. Everything's going horrible. And at the end, he's finally thinking, I've had enough of this. I'm taking a drink. So he's stumbling around drunk, and a lion is still loose and walks up behind him, and he does a bit where and he smacks it on the nose like a bad kitten. And then, it runs off sort of thing. And he's, you scaredy lion, and all that. And he was afraid of all the animals. He was afraid of even some of the more moderate animals throughout the entire movie. So it's like, oh yeah, he gets his courage when he's drunk. But they did make sure to have that scene done in such a way, and, edited in such a way that when he smacked the lion, it is not an actual lion's nose he's smacking, because that would have killed him. By the way, the character was the guy who did the voice of Aesop in the Rocky and Bullwinkle, Aesop and Son. So it's like, this was not like an actor you could have just afforded to have gone. Well,
okay,
anyway.
Yeah.
This was this was a guy that had friends, had connections. He knew Jay Ward, man.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't exactly know how well trained they had things, but they did have the lion walk up to him, and then he had him turning around, and he smacks, it'd be like a lion dummy thing, and then they cut back to the scene where they have the lion turn around and run away from him, where it's basically just the trainer off screen calling him, and he's just pretending to be drunk, and I smacked the lion's nose. He's a bad kitty. And so, yes, they did have the technology and the knowledge of camera angles and proper cuts to have made a scene where they could have had it with the animals not actually attacking each other, but attacking dummies, and really making it look nice and vicious.
Okay, yeah. So
it smacks of just lazy film work.
Yeah, and they just didn't value the animals' lives enough, I guess.
Apparently, I don't care if you don't value the animal. It is not easy to get those lions.
That's a good point. Yeah, taking care of a lion is expensive, and
taking care of a wounded lion is even more expensive.
Yeah, that would not.
And it's not like you can just go down to the kennel and get more lions. There's never been a huge amount of them here in
I mean, I think they have a small stock for Hollywood right? I think Hollywood has like lion.
Not
tamers
as many
and
as they used to, because they can't abuse them as much anymore. So it's a little harder to put them in the films, apparently.
Okay. Yeah.
Probably
in the 30s they probably had like a peak of how many, or maybe they peaked in the 70s or something like that. But they probably had a lot of lions in the States. I remember hearing I think it was on QI or something. The most, I think it was tigers, but the United States has more tigers than India.
Well, to be fair, there's a lot more space, in America than I believe India. It's a bigger nation. And then you can make an argument about wealthy people who can afford to properly have, and raise a tiger, as opposed to India.
I think that's the idea.
Yeah.
So
and then there's the illegal market for them, where there's people like, oh yeah, by the way, I have a tiger, and then this guy winds up going to the hospital. Tiger gets loose because it's hungry. Like, oh, what the hell's going on now? A couple times a decade, you'll hear about that. It's not very common, thank goodness, but it happens. And it's not just tigers. There's that dang IKEA monkey from a few years back. Lady leaves her monkey at IKEA.
No, I didn't.
Oh, it was a cold day. The monkey was wearing an outfit, so there's a picture of the monkey at an IKEA, wearing a kind of like a Paddington Bear sort of style outfit.
Okay.
And she wound up losing the monkey.
She lost it and never came back?
Well, no, she came back for it, but by that time, Animal Services had been phoned, and because she had left a monkey behind at IKEA, she was not allowed to keep the monkey anymore.
Oh, so the monkey got a new home from Animal Services?
I believe so. I've never actually heard as to where the monkey went, but it was, you don't just put down the monkey.
I hope not.
It's a good, healthy monkey. Has good clothing style. It knows not to leave the door at IKEA on a cold winter's day. But okay, here's the thing. I'm not big on vehicles. But I can still appreciate not ruining the heck out of Ferrari whenever you get the chance to not ruin a Ferrari.
All right.
So a lion should be considered at least in that same category. It's like, dude, you really can't get a hold of an infinite amount of these, so maybe you don't ruin them.
Yeah, well, who's arguing? No, I think... So,
it just bugs me that, watching a movie like that they thought so little of the animals that they didn't even try for a good cut. Because, the scene that they had for them, it was like, oh, hey, here, you're going to be up here on this high scaffolding where they're never going to be able to get to you, and you're just going to be filming down. So it was like kind of like a ceiling shot sort of thing.
At the beginning of this discussion, you said that you enjoyed that scene. But
I did enjoy.
Honestly, it doesn't sound like you.
Well, I enjoy as a biologist as seeing animals interacting, and
you sound really bothered about it.
I'm bothered by what was going on behind the scene.
You can have a little bit of joy followed by upsetness, also.
Well, no, I enjoy. I wouldn't mind seeing that scene again. But what bugs me is what was happening behind the scene. That it was lazy camera work, and they thought so little of the animal. That it's like, oh yeah, we'll have them bite each other. Just make sure to film it. When they could have had a nice, have the camera running sort of thing, and put the fake prop for here. Just tell get the lion tamer to tell the lion to attack that thing there, and then they could have a lion just jumping almost at the camera. Man, do you know how much you could have scared the people in the theater back then with that sort of shot? That could have been much better. And yet they didn't. It's okay, just hoist you up here where they can't get to you and just film the scene. It's just But it did get me thinking. And that's what I liked most about that scene in the movie. Yeah. Was this is not the first time I've questioned whether or not I should be okay with enjoying something that is considered kind of horrible.
Yeah.
We play D&D. Or at least we try to. We have historically played D&D.
Yes.
Sometimes our ability to play it varies. We're getting old. I got kids. So here's the thing. It's there's genocide in D&D.
Yeah, well, it's all, there's fictional genocide, yeah. And we play World of Warcraft and The Secret World and all.
To be fair, a number of the things I'm killing in The Secret World have no place in the natural cycle of the current age.
Okay, so you're doing
or they're invasive species. Demons count as invasive species. I don't care what anyone else says. I'm okay to kill demons.
Okay.
Also, they're sentient, which kind of changes the matter a bit. They're not animals.
Right. Hopefully in D&D, though, you're not on the side of the people doing the genocide.
No comment.
Okay.
It depends. Like if demons are coming through hell and we, decide to wipe them out, like they started it. We're okay with doing that.
Yeah. Well, maybe we could get into a discussion about excuses because, or like reasons why it's okay to kill demons, robots, aliens, monsters.
Ghouls in this case. In which case,
undead. Yeah.
No, actually, I don't think the ghouls in there count as undead.
Well, whether they count, yeah.
The zombies are definitely undead, and man,
zombies.
I have literally gotten award points for killing over 1,000 zombies.
But what they do in D&D is they sort of give the demons have this backstory where demons are, sort of soulless, pure evil. There's no possibility of redemption, so it's okay to kill them, right? Or you could not have that backstory. You could
traditional D&D. It's okay to kill an orc because it's an orc and it will kill you if you don't kill it. It's okay to kill the goblin. It's okay to kill the kobold.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but there could be just as easily you could have the same game mechanics with a backstory of they're just another species, or the demons have their own alien biology and ecology,
society, and
they have their own niche, and they're sort of it all works, it all fits together that they fit into, and then when they invade the material world, sometimes it might not even be an invasion. It's just that there's just something weird there. So
I won't lie, I have played Dwarf Fortress, and it is known for the quote: "If you think hell has too many demons, then you go to hell and you start killing them until it reaches an acceptable number."
Okay, yeah.
We have a society, a sub-society of people that will literally colonize hell and make a routine practice of slaughtering the demons in hell.
Right.
So we are the invasive species. We are doing the exterminations.
I was going to say, though, also, you might want to question, and I'm not saying this is necessarily bad, but the impulse that we have a violent impulse, and we want to justify, because we want to be, do things like kill and destroy and whatever you do, and fight and have
I will
say
there is no cousin species to humanity. You have to kind of go back to the great apes and the chimpanzees before you get anything close to us. There may be a reason why we don't have any close genetic relatives.
Well, the closest, Neanderthals, we have part of some of their DNA, right? So
yeah. But there were offshoots on the towards humanity tree. Before, as you were getting into the sapiens, there were offshoots. And in the end, as the saying goes, there can only be one.
Yeah. Well, and you go back in history, and humans were slaughtering other tribes of humans, for a long time too. So.
There might be something worked into us on a very primal level.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it any better, but it does at least explain where it comes from.
Well, yeah, so we have this instinct, and then sort of in modern times we've said, well, we'll make these excuses. We'll say, they're non-human, they don't belong, we're culling them, they don't have souls, and then that's why it's okay to now enact our fantasies of fighting and killing. And I think that's okay, I'm okay with it, I think it's healthy, but I mean, maybe we should examine that and ask why it is that we like fighting so much.
It's a very easy, way to get what you want.
Yeah, it's sort of it's a problem meets a solution. It's it's very one-to-one correspondence.
When all you have is a war hammer, all your enemies start looking like war nails.
Yeah.
But I mean, so it is okay for us to play a game whereby we do have this interesting habit of killing creatures based on the color of their skin. Because that has some very bad real-world connotations.
And, the thing is, I've never bought into that part of D&D. I've never agreed with you. You say, it's okay to kill an orc.
Historically, it has been, considered the okay thing to do throughout the many editions of D&D. And it's still considered very acceptable practice to automatically kill them just because, hey, we're invading their home and stealing their stuff. May as well kill them too.
Yeah, but okay. I mean, it depends who you ask. But yeah, I've never played D&D that way.
Don't worry. I'm not all that way. I mean, I spent time in previous editions creating different ways to come up with non-sentient creatures of problem. I remember once it was the 3rd edition, I had a disease where every 2 points of constitution you lost, you wound up coughing up a slime. And the slime was contagious in and of itself and would spread more of the disease to other people. Mm-hmm. But that way you could get a bunch of sick people coughing up slimes, and then you'd have to wind up, killing a whole bunch of slimes.
Yeah. Well,
they're effectively, not much tougher, than kobolds or goblins and all that, but, this way you don't have to worry about them being sentient. They're a legitimate menace. And where are they coming from? Sick people coughing them up out of their sinuses.
Yeah, so you're Superman punching a disease, punching cancer out of somebody.
No. Once it pops out of them, you punch it to make sure no one else gets it.
Which, in some way, I'm wondering if maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe we shouldn't. It doesn't matter. The things like the genocide and the racism against orcs. We finally overcome racism between humans, so now we turn the black and the white, fight the green, kind of.
And to be honest, I would enjoy having goblins as a standard playable race, because I think there's a lot more you could do with them for storylines than just killing them by the 1-4 groups.
Yeah, I think that's true. But yeah, maybe this point that I made about how it's really just a matter of skinning or storytelling, that maybe it's not such a big deal if you have a character who does bad things like genocide orcs, because is that really? It's the same action as, say, killing a pure evil demon or killing a slime. You're doing the same sword swing.
Ideally, I suppose your technique will be different, but the attack roll is the same.
Yeah, and you have the same sort of rage inside you, or whatever it takes to, be
decide
a fighter.
To go out and do this action.
Except in one case you're sort of morally justified, and the other one you're not. Or
you're preventing other people from getting sick when you kill my snot slimes.
Yeah.
You are literally making the cosmos less of a worse place by killing the demons.
Yeah.
If you look down, I suppose if you work the numbers, you technically have more good than evil if you start killing more evil creatures permanently. That said, multiple infinities going on. You can't kill enough fast enough to actually dent those numbers.
And another, I'll throw in another wrench, and I don't know how many wrenches I've already thrown into this, but one other little thing though is, of course, you're playing a persona, you're playing a character, and if you, as a modern person with modern sensibilities, think, no, I'm going to take on the character of a racist, genocidal maniac, and we're going to see what happens if this person is unleashed into a fantasy world, then yeah, my paladin cares nothing about goblin lives and just cuts them down for no reason. Mm-hmm. The player being fully aware that that's not really how things are.
Bob the fighter simply doesn't care. It's a paycheck to him.
Yeah. And that's especially becomes interesting if you have a party where as long as the players are a little bit removed from their characters in the way that they don't take it personally. But yeah, you can have a party where one guy cares about that sort of moral.
Dude, my grandfather was a goblin. I am quarter goblin. How does that make you feel?
Ooh, yeah, that'd be good. And then another character is very doesn't care. But then you have the question of how does the GM adjudicate sort of cosmically in terms of is that guy evil or is that guy evil, or who's?
Well, I do recall doing a campaign in 3rd edition where I just said to everyone, make what you want. And then I realized, what do we have for races not represented? And it was elves. No one wanted to play an elf. So the bad guys in that campaign were the elves. Mm-hmm. It was just the other. Whichever one you aren't, I'll throw that up against you. Is that okay, then? It's just to make sure as long as it's the other, that way you don't have to worry about killing your kinsman?
It's okay for a while, but then what if somebody comes in later, or a player character dies, and okay, I want to roll up a new character. Oh, I'm going to be an elf. And then what do you do with that?
That never actually happened. It never got to the point where anyone ever wanted to play an elf. It was just that kind of party. No one wanted to be an elf.
Yeah, and elves, among certain groups, they might not necessarily be the most popular choice of.
I dig them. And they got some good points too.
I like to take a shot at every class and race if I can. I think I've tried every.
I'm still having a hard time with clerics. 5th edition made it a lot easier, but I'm still having a hard time having that true desire.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta say, now that I've watched, like Murders, in the zoo, I worry like now next time I play a druid and I send my druid's companion to help fight with me, is like if that animal gets hurt, shouldn't I feel guilty about that? I was the one responsible for that, man.
You should, but
or does that take a diminished role when you have healing things? Which it's okay that you got hurt because now you're healthy again.
Yeah, but also a druid's companion sort of takes on this like, oh, that's my friend, and what the animal wants to do is like protect you and be your partner in like fight side by side with you. It's almost like another person.
Yeah, it still seems rather weird. I mean, like how often do you ever see like we'll say a wolf in this case enter into like a dungeon complex to fight zombies under any other guards than like, oh hey, my friend's doing it, I may as well do it too, because that's peer pressure then.
Well, a wolf is also a dog, and people do like sort of bring dogs into dangerous situations to help protect them.
Wolves, however, are much more independent, and it is still in this case a completely wild animal that just happens to have humanoid friends. Do you suppose the other wolves in the D&D campaigns like, no man, don't make friends with druids, man. Human friends will mess you up, man. They will send you into horrible places, man. They're a bad influence. If I catch you hanging out with that druid boy, I'm gonna tell your mother on you.
Some might, but I'm imagining the druid dynamic with its pet being more like, oh, we're friends, like or pack mates even. Like this is what you do for your pack mate is.
And I have noticed with dogs, if you're training right and doing right around them, you are always the alpha.
Yeah, but I suppose like it might be more problematic, and this is why they do celestial summoning rather than just I summon a random bear from the forest. You bear, you're gonna fight that bear, and then these two bears go at it, and then
I cast summon popcorn. No, you can't enjoy it. You're a horrible person now.
And I guess from a modern perspective, you have to weigh like if you're a modern druid or if you're like modern times morality druid, you do have to weigh like whether if I'm going to summon a bear to fight that other bear, like my life has to truly be in danger for it to be justified. Like I wouldn't just summon a bear. Like if I saw a bear like a long way away.
Like as a wizard, I'm perfectly fine summoning everything out of the cosmos to throw at my enemies because it's like if they die, they just poof back apparently to normal.
And that's
unless you've got some interesting variant rules.
Yeah, the flavor text of it is that when they die, they don't actually die.
They just get desummoned.
Yeah.
They might not appreciate the thing, but apparently there's some system in place where they don't come back to get you. Because that would be horrible.
Yeah.
You wake up one day and there is like something from every plane of the cosmos, and they have put all their alignment differences aside just to beat the snot out of you one after another. The angel holds you back as the demon punches you. The demon holds you back as the fiend punches you. The fiend holds you back as what do they got in the Outlands?
Tulip? No, that's Real Manny.
Okay, yeah. Romani punches you. The Romani holds you back as the Slad punches you, and they all just take turns roughing you up. Because you keep summoning them against horrible things that kill them.
Yeah, although like there's sort of infinite of them, so maybe it would be a long time before they actually met another one who had been summoned by a wizard.
Unless they're contacting other planes for that sort of thing. It's like, hey, they put up posters all throughout the cosmos. Have you ever been summoned? Join Summonee's, revenge, society.
Yeah, and I haven't really ever been satisfied with like sort of the ecology of like what are angels and demons doing when they're not being summoned, and like are they just sort of hanging around and just
Imagine they're doing their angelic or demonic works and fighting each other.
It's like the State Farm commercial. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and then the State Farm guy is, I don't know, he's fishing or something, and it disappears.
Man, I would hate that lifestyle. I would be so unhappy.
Yeah.
I would be the worst neighbor. So you're covered for nothing. Get me out of here.
But
you want your deductible? There's a deductible.
There are players who will summon, summon a celestial creature to walk down a hallway to check for traps or something like that, right?
I won't lie. I remember one game I summoned Buddha to try and stop a car I was in.
Oh, huh.
On the other hand, if you see the Buddha on the side of the road, kill him. So it's not like I don't have a better justification, right? So yeah, but I've done horrible things in the game for less than noble reasons.
Yeah, and I imagine sure that could be a check mark against your good alignment.
That's it. As a DM, I'd be more inclined to say, okay, listen, if you guys really want to do this, I'll create celestial chickens. You can summon your celestial chicken and have them walk down the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
But don't actually summon an actual, full, humanoid celestial to do this.
Mm.
I remember summoning a celestial bison, and everyone wound up making jokes about, that's where you get the bison wings from.
Huh, yeah.
It's
buffalo
big,
wings.
Yeah, buffalo. Well, in this case it was bison.
Bison wings, okay.
But I suppose we're in North America, so it's the buffalo. Either way.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt okay by summoning it to fight something else for me. Because that's kind of what they do. That's what their purpose is in the game. So, is it okay to enjoy it from within its own internal perspective and role? That it's okay to summon these things to do work for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're talking about D&D, playing D&D.
Heck, there was a point in time with D&D you would literally get experience for getting money any which way. Thieves would steal everything they could because, for every 10 gold piece they stole from someone, they'd get experience points.
Yeah, so it's just a game. It's fiction. It's like, is it okay to enjoy the CGI fight between the T-Rex and the gorilla in King Kong? That's a pretty... That
was a pretty good fight. Mind you, that entire island was just the island of, oh God, no.
Yeah.
You could, seriously, if you had the time, you could replace all the dialogue on that island with something like, oh, hell no. And it would play completely perfectly, because that would make sense for you to say that at any given point in time on that horrible, horrible island.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, according to the people that were doing it, the island was indeed sinking, and that it fully sank sometime around the time of World War II.
Hmm.
So the world is objectively, in that case, a better place once Skull Island finally sunk beneath the waves, because it was a horrible, horrible place.
Now we just got to get rid of Australia.
On the other hand, I do feel guilty that there was not enough biodiversity samples taken from Skull Island, no matter how bad it was.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I am completely a biologist at heart. I'd still want to somehow spend time on that island just to get some samples.
Yeah.
Although I would like to spend some time with a flamethrower on that island too. I'm not gonna lie.
I think it's fine to enjoy, especially fictionalized, violence or pain or basically we're telling stories about people or animals who get hurt, and sometimes our storytelling methods are very visual and very like a movie or something like that. But it's also, at the same time, I'm glad we had this conversation, and I think everybody, modern person, should sort of look inside themselves and wonder why it is that we enjoy violence. And it's not that we want violence to happen, but it's, you tell a story about violence, you sort of take on the persona of someone committing violence, and you feel what that feels like. Yeah.
So I have one final, this will act as my final thought, I believe.
All right.
So now, thanks to the codes, you can't have animals fighting animals. It's just
not real animals.
Not real animals, and all that, and it's just because they'll hurt each other because they're animals. I mean, even a well-trained animal is still an animal. They lack some stuff about restraint that humanity usually has about them. but because of that, we have this kind of now void in our storytelling for the movies, where you don't have animals attacking animals unless it's like CGI or animated stuff and whatnot. You don't actually see it.
Which I think it's okay. I think we have enough technology now to make it look real.
Only recently sort of thing, though. So for a long time there was that void where it was like, this is clearly fake, or they just don't show that. Mm-hmm. And I will say the tipping point would, I'd say, be around the 90s for when the technology got good enough where you can really get those scenes
like
in.
Jurassic Park.
Exactly. Okay. Was that scene in the end of Jurassic Park where the T-Rex fights the Velociraptors so awesome because it was a T-Rex fighting Velociraptors? Or was it so awesome because technology had finally improved to the point where we could get our visceral thrill of animals fighting animals to the degree where it satiates our primal, back end of our mind?
Well, would it have been just as awesome if it was totally CGI fight between a lion and a cougar?
I think it could have been. I think so long as it had been done in that nice dramatic style, CGI to make sure it's guilt-free. It could have been any two animals attacking each other viciously, and like a show of like this display is like, who's the better one.
Yeah.
And maybe that explains the weird, crazy sci-fi movies like Sharktopus versus what was that other one? It was like
Sharknado.
No, it was Sharktopus actually fights it. It was like some sort of dog and and whale combo thing. It was a crazy creature.
Okay.
But that's why you can have like these monsters, these crazy creatures fighting each other. Because one, the CGI is not as good as Jurassic Park, but still good enough to fool our primitive parts of our brains and show the animal fighting animal savage brutality of nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. Oh, did you see Life of Pi?
No, I have not.
That one has a CGI. The tiger, it looks like it's just supposed to be a real
pretty dang
tiger.
real from what I saw from the previous.
Yeah, I believe it's all CGI. I believe that tiger.
Yeah, it's just like we have really hit a point where you could do some amazing storytelling with animals.
Yeah, and it just looks like it looks like they put a real tiger and really made it suffer on a boat. But obviously, you can't do that now.
No, well, you probably don't want to do that anytime, especially not when you got a film crew.
Yeah.
So yeah, starving tiger plus film crew equals, like full tiger and half a film crew at best. So yeah, it pays to care for animals, especially when you're doing movies. Mm-hmm. So yes, how can people get a hold of us to put in their 2 cents worth based on this topic?
Well,
I think this is for everybody, this is going to wind up being a topic that could wind up hitting very close to home. Some people can't even stomach to see animals, doing anything that looks aggressive towards each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely.
Documentaries about like the wilds, it's just not for them.
Yeah, and I'll say that's probably part of the reason. Just to add another thought, part of the reason why it's enjoyable and thrilling is because it hits a part of our heart that's easily disturbed. It's like right next to the, really makes you tense up, and it's intense, it's emotional. So, and on certain levels you enjoy it, and on
I think
levels,
it appeals like to the very basest part of our brain sort of thing, where we're not used to being this civilized creature that doesn't have to worry about not being attacked by animals all the time. And so it's like oh my god, animal attack! Oh, and then so it's like itching a part of your brain that is just like a. When you wear socks that are too tight and then you take them off and you just scratch, it's like, oh, that feels so good. I didn't even know it needed to be scratched that bad. I think it's something like that in our brains.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a mimetic scratch of an itch we didn't even know we have most of the time.
Maybe. Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know. I think we need fictional violence. I think it's a good thing. But
it's real violence, and it's a much more approved substitute.
Yeah, and
unless you're part of Fight Club, but you don't talk about that.
I know I really enjoy it. So enjoy depictions if I know it's fiction for real. I really enjoy it, and it's harder for me to enjoy. Nowadays, you can actually find on YouTube, you can find videos of people or animals getting hurt or killed. And it is hard for me to enjoy those as much. I tense up and I'm like, I don't really But yeah, when
and
it's
yeah, I'm
fictional,
completely fine with a lion taking down a zebra in a documentary.
I can get into some of those. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's like one of the worst sufferings I'm going to wind up ever seeing an animal do. But it's like, it's nature on nature.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So you asked about social media.
Yes. How are people going to be able to put in their 2 cents, their very personal 2 cents worth on this sort of thing?
Well, if you want to email just us, like send us a message that you just want us to hear, thesimulationist@gmail.com is where you can send it.
And that'll take like paragraphs up to manifesto size.
Yeah, if you want to write us a huge novel or whatever, or a treatise on morality and ethics and animals, that's fine. Send it there. You can also write fairly large messages and post them on our Facebook page, like The Simulationist, facebook.com/The Simulationist.
And the bonus point on that one is that other people can get to see it too, so they can chip in, and everyone can start up a hopefully civilized dialogue on something so primal.
Yeah, anything, like look on the left-hand side of that page for the user-submitted comments. You can also comment on each individual episode as we post the links up there, and that's sort of in the middle of the Facebook page where more people should be able to see those comments. So join the conversation, like us, and you can do. There's new, the Facebook like, love.
Oh yeah,
happy,
all the
cry,
different emotions on
whatever.
there.
So you can like us, or you can even love us on Facebook. So.
Or if the topic hits you that close, you could even do the frowny thing.
Yeah, you can frown or cry or whatever, or laugh for that matter. I think that's all the Facebook.
Yeah, they got 5 of them now.
Yeah. So yeah, there's our Facebook page. You can tweet at me on Twitter if you have like a little short thought you need to share, or a link of some kind. That's I'm at Josh_Treylaffin, TRESLAFFIN, Josh_Treylaffin, because that's my Twitter, and you can find me there. That's the main things. We also have a YouTube channel you can comment on. I will see that if you post it there. Not as many people on the YouTube channel, but it is another way to get this same
It's
show.
a nice relay system. Very easy, very convenient.
Yeah, exactly. And this show is on iTunes if you're not already subscribed, or whatever your podcatcher of choice. And we'd super appreciate reviews and ratings and sharing with your friends and on other sites. And
so what do they call it, a podcatcher, not like a podnet? Because that sounds really stylish, man.
Podnet?
I got a podnet. It catches my pods.
It's probably a good... Yeah, somebody should start something called Podnet. That'd be the next big thing.
It sounds very
There's
futuristic.
Pod Bay. That's a thing.
Yeah, but Podnet, man. Podnet sounds like very futuristic sounding.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Yeah.
Rate iTunes, and of course tell your friends or the people beside you in the gaming store, whoever you happen to be with. We'd appreciate word of mouth. That's how these things get spread. Oh, and check us out on Patreon. Go to patreon.com, look up The Simulationist.
Pay for those new batteries for us.
And yeah, we have a few small little costs. Of course, you could always treat us to a coffee or a beer or whatever. Just
now, unfortunately, there's no municipal zoos around, so you can't pay for us to go to a trip to the zoo.
There's the petting zoo.
Beacon
Hill Park petting zoo.
But you should never see any animal violence there, aside from maybe ducks fighting over which piece of like bread or something they're going to be getting.
I mean, the goats will do the whole butting goat heads thing.
Oh, but that's a different sort of thing.
That's
That's almost like a game sort of thing, for an equivalency for us.
Yeah.
It has, like, if two people like crackheads like that is a fight. That is a vicious sort of fight. That's hurting everyone. That's a no winner. For them, it's a bit of a different style. It's a play. It's a style. It's a thing. It's a culture for them.
It's funny watching like even the baby goats, because they're so like they just hit it. They right away, as soon as they can do it, they're bopping each other on the head like. That's just their life.
Don't worry, their skulls are thick enough. They got the proper insulation. Yeah. I don't believe there's ever been recorded cases of stuff like permanent damage from like concussions from that.
I don't know. I wonder. Like, I mean, goats don't
I am
have
fairly
long
confident
life.
there's enough, like people studying them.
Yeah.
That if this was a thing, they'd start seeing it. It's like, oh yes, we call this, let's go with NFL brain on this one for the animals, just because we want to get it out, stick it, show how nasty some of those like sports things are.
Yeah, because NFL players, like when they get into their 40s, 50s, that's when they show these symptoms. And
But that's
it's a
the thing
little
is, like, you can see it in the brain well before it shows on them.
Okay. Yeah.
So I imagine, like, if people want to study up on concussions and, like, brain damage from that, one of the first places they should go is look at the animals who constantly crack each other's heads against each other. Because they're the only people hitting their heads more often than NFL players, right?
Yeah.
Well, that and I suppose clumsy people in, like, the construction industry.
Okay.
But they got hard hats and workers' comp, so it shouldn't have to be that often.
I'd be curious. Like, I'd be interested to see. Maybe I'll have to look up and try and find some biological studies and see if anybody has actually checked it. But I suspect that it
Evolutionary pressures have made sure it's a minimized thing.
Well, what I'm thinking is that it probably causes some damage, but they don't live long enough for it to really affect them anyways. Or, that's when they at old age. Yes, they're a little bit loopy, but they're gonna die anyways. So I don't know. That's my suspicion.
I hate to say it, but it suddenly gave me the urge to try and teach a goat how to smoke. What's going to happen? Lung cancer? It's not going to live long enough.
Exactly.
Smoke up, Mr. Goat.
Yeah, exactly. Smoking goat. Did I forget anything?
No, but I did suddenly, seg us off into a weird, crazy thought about smoking goats.
Yeah, don't
teach animals to smoke.
Yeah, don't have animals fight each other and film it. As much money as you'll make on YouTube, it's not good.
Even if it would get you a lot of views, it's not worth it. Not worth it for the animals, not worth it for your morality.
Yeah.
You're better than that. That's why you're listening to us. You're better than that.
That's why I like to think that's why people listen to the Simulationist, to get enlightened.
Or at least get some really fun ideas.
Or because they're already enlightened and just enjoy good conversation.
Yeah. Chicken and the egg philosophy. Yeah. You'll hear from us again in another 7 days.
I've been Josh Treleaven.
I've been Ryan Kirkby.
And